The more you try to stay in the now, the more noise fills your head and the deeper your loneliness grows. Many people find themselves sinking into self-hatred while struggling with the spiritual effort to stop their thoughts. Based on the book Power of Ego, a 20-time bestseller in 5 countries, this 8-part series is presented to you. Our team, holding professional certifications from Ivy League institutions like Harvard and Yale, will now reveal the truth. In this first episode, we address the core question: why does trying to achieve enlightenment often make life harder? We will dissect why the spiritual path you have walked until now might have started feeling like a prison. By analyzing this through scientific and psychological lenses, we take the first step toward reconciling with your ego. If you are watching this, you have likely walked the path of spiritual seeking for some time. You have seen the beautifully designed books in the spirituality section and listened to the messages of famous teachers. Among them, Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now stands as a monumental masterpiece of the modern era. His message was simple, yet struck many like a bolt of lightning, offering a profound sense of truth. You are not your thoughts. Past and future are illusions. Only the now exists. When touching this truth, many felt an unprecedented salvation and a liberation that made their souls tremble. To be free from endless regret and anxiety about the future, and simply to rest in stillness. It seemed as though this was the gateway to the enlightenment we had all been searching for. However, after months or years, was peace really the only thing that grew within you? Let's be honest, the more faithfully you tried to practice these teachings, the more your suffering increased. Have you ever felt your head becoming noisier and your sense of self-loathing growing deeper than before? I must stop my thoughts. The moment you sit on your meditation cushion with that resolution, thoughts flood in. Tomorrow's work, yesterday's argument, tonight's dinner, and the frustration with your own inability to be still. You blame yourself, thinking, "Oh, I'm thinking again," and try to force your awareness back to the now. But seconds later, another thought interrupts, and in that endless cycle, you eventually become exhausted. You might have concluded, "I have no spiritual talent," or "my ego is too strong to ever reach enlightenment." Please rest assured, this is not a lack of ability or a sign of a vicious ego. This is an entirely normal and inevitable psychological reaction of the human mechanism. Psychology identifies this as ironic process theory, a very well-known concept. It refers to the phenomenon where being told "do not think of a white bear" makes the white bear impossible to ignore. When the human brain tries to suppress something, it activates a unique dual system in the background. One is the operating process, which is the conscious will trying to stop the thought. The other is the monitoring process, which checks to see if the thought has successfully stopped. The more you try to relax, the more this monitoring function continues to search for the seeds of thought. When willpower weakens due to stress or fatigue, this monitoring function runs wild on its own. As a result, the very thoughts you want to stop flood into your consciousness like a tidal wave. In other words, the effort to stop thinking ironically creates an obsession with thought itself. It consumes excessive brain resources and pushes you into a chronic state of mental hypertension. Tolle's teaching was never intended to be a technique for violently suppressing thought. However, we modern people often receive it through the binary lens of thought equals bad and ego equals enemy. The moment you bring this conflict of stillness equals good, thought equals bad into your inner world, your heart transforms from a sanctuary of peace into a battlefield of endless civil war. Thought is not something to be stopped. It is a vital survival tool evolved for life's preservation. Trying to stop it by force is like commanding your heart to stop beating because the pulse is too loud. That is a denial of the rhythm of life and can become a form of quiet violence against the self. Our goal should not be to erase thought, but to change our relationship with it. Not flipping a switch to off, but adjusting the volume of the radio that never stops playing. Sometimes we listen to the content, and sometimes we let it play as background music, regaining our flexible agency. There's a trap that those who study Toll's work deeply are particularly prone to fall into. I call this the spiritual ego, or the superego pretending to be enlightened. Normal social ego seeks money, status, and praise, which is easy to identify. But the spiritual ego is far more cunning and difficult to notice even within oneself. It feeds on a sense of superiority. I have transcended ego. I am in the now. I am awakened. Let's look calmly at what is happening inside your mind during such moments. Suppose you feel irritated, envious, or anxious in your daily life. In that moment, does a cold, authoritative voice echo in your head? Observe it. Do not identify with that emotion. It is just a reaction of the pain body. Do not get caught in the ego's drama. You must remain at a higher level of consciousness. At first glance, this sounds like the wise observer practicing the teachings. But listen to the tone of that voice. Is there compassion there? Is there warmth? Or does it contain a subtle contempt, a cold command, or a harsh judgment? If that observing consciousness dismisses your human emotions as immature and tries to exclude them, then it is not the true awakened consciousness, known as the self. It is, in fact, the most powerful manager part of the ego wearing the mask of high teachings. The spiritual ego tells itself that negative emotions are illusions and refuses to feel them. Psychologically, this is emotional dissociation, the polar opposite of true healing. It judges the part of you that is thinking, repeatedly saying, "The ego is back again." Or it looks at unawakened others and feels a secret sense of superiority or pity. By treating the ego as an enemy, we ironically continue to strengthen the ego, because creating an enemy is the most fundamental strategy for the ego to maintain its boundaries. Whether the target is a rival coworker or your own thoughts, the ego survives as long as it is fighting. The I that tries to erase the ego is a dictator deciding that a part of oneself is evil and must be destroyed. Under this dictatorship, the heart is under constant tension, and relaxation feels like a threat. A true observer is not a cold, inorganic presence like a surveillance camera. It is more like a compassionate grandparent watching a crying child with deep love. Even if the child screams, they don't say, "Stop crying." They simply accept the child's existence entirely. In the perspective of the PCM, the parts connection method, which we will learn, we redefine the ego not as an enemy to be erased, but as a wounded part in need of care. There is always a reason why the ego is noisy. It hides a desperate positive intent. Let's end the war of trying to erase the ego. Right now, when you stop fighting, true silence will visit you, for the first time, not a forced silence, but a silence of reconciliation. Toll taught that time is an illusion, but we are beings with bodies who weave stories in society. To completely deny time in this dimension is to discard the very richness of being human. Focusing on the now is a wonderful skill, but making it an absolute dogma turns the now into a prison. If someone with deep past trauma revisits that pain and weeps, are they escaping from the now? Or are they going back from the perspective of the now to retrieve and heal their past self? Applying the Toll approach too rigidly can prohibit even the necessary process of grieving. To deny the past is to leave your past self abandoned in a dark basement. Is envisioning future anxieties or hopes really just a delusion to fill the lack of the now? While drowning in anxiety is unhealthy, the ability to visualize is a creative human capacity. In our GSI, Generative Semantic Intelligence model, the ability to handle time is a mark of mature intelligence. If you are censoring yourself, thinking, "I must not remember the past," and your heart feels cramped, then you are effectively locking yourself inside the prison of the now. True presence is not being bound by time, but it is not the denial of time either. It is a state of cherishing the past and dreaming of the future while remaining firmly rooted in the now. Standing at the crossroads where the horizontal axis of time meets the vertical axis of the now, that is the true essence of being born and living on this earth as a human being. The past is a treasure trove of resources waiting for us to give it new meaning. The future is not a phantom to flee from, but a canvas for us to express our creativity. While valuing focus on the now, we welcome time as a friend that colors our lives. You are allowed to regret the past, and you are allowed to worry about the future. What matters is not being swallowed by those thoughts, but receiving the messages they carry. So far, we have looked at the side effects that can occur when practicing Toll's teachings. However, please do not misunderstand. This is not intended to negate Toll's work. The transformation of consciousness shown in The Power of Now is an essential step for humanity. This series is a guidebook for the next stage of integration for those who have taken that step. Toll's approach was a vertical escape, soaring above the chaos of the ego into the sky of consciousness. This is an extremely effective means for emergency escape or a glimpse of the ultimate truth. But we cannot live in the sky forever. We must eventually descend back to the ground. We must live in the messy reality, driving the unique vehicle known as the ego. The new prescription offered here is a horizontal connection, an approach to join hands with the ego on inner ground. The core of this approach is PCM, the Parts Connection Method. PCM views the human mind not as a single block, but as a collection of multiple parts. Inside you, there is a manager who criticizes, a child who is frightened, and a firefighter who seeks distractions. And there is the self, the original you who embraces and leads all these parts. The ego is not a formless phantom. It is a collective term for the parts that have worked desperately to protect you. The steps to reconciliation provided here start by redefining the ego from enemy to partner. Instead of erasing thoughts or emotions, we find the love they have for you, their positive intent. Using the technique of hanging out, we build a safe relationship with these inner parts. The self acts not as a dictator, but as a compassionate leader, integrating the inner team. Through specific exercises, we will walk this path of reconciliation one step at a time. This is not an ordeal like traditional training, but an experience like having tea with a long-lost friend. You no longer have to fight the ego. You don't have to stop being human to reach enlightenment. There is a way to live while embracing imperfect thoughts, raw emotions, and indelible memories. Now put down your weapons. The time has come to sign an inner peace treaty. For you who have found the now to be painful, let's journey together toward a gentle reconciliation with the ego. Through the next 8 lectures, your inner world will surely move dramatically toward harmony. In the second episode, we will uncover the true nature of the manager, the firefighter, and the exile. Let's reveal what loving motives lie behind those noisy voices in your head. Also, to help you discover your best self alongside AI, we have prepared a special free AI chatbot assessment for you. Based on our unique GSI model, it diagnoses the current state of your intelligence. You can experience a session designed to unlock your latent potential. Please check the free assessment and session link in our profile or description. Let's go find the answers within you together with us. Thank you for watching till the end. Please remember to like and subscribe to the channel.